When a woman starts pulling away, losing interest, or treating you differently than before, most men panic. They immediately begin chasing, texting nonstop, asking what's wrong, and trying to fix things by giving more attention. But this only pushes her further away. Why? Because deep down, women are not attracted to men who lose their masculine frame. They don't want to feel like they're in control of the relationship or that you're emotionally dependent on them. What they really want is a man who leads himself, who stands strong no matter what, and who makes her feel safe, secure, and inspired. That's what I mean by rebuilding your masculine frame. Your masculine frame is the foundation of how you carry yourself in life. It's the balance of your energy, your mindset, and your ability to handle situations without being reactive. When you're in your masculine frame, you're centered. You're not easily thrown off by mood swings, drama, or tests. You stay calm, collected, and focused on what matters. A man in his frame doesn't chase approval because he already approves of himself. He doesn't look to his woman to validate him because his purpose and self-worth come from within. And paradoxically, this is what makes women respect you and feel attracted to you again. Think back to when she was first drawn to you. Chances are you were pursuing your goals, you had your own life, and you weren't trying to prove anything. You had confidence in yourself, whether you realized it or not. You weren't overthinking every text message or worrying about every little sign. You were being yourself. That is the masculine frame she fell for. Over time, if you slipped out of that frame, maybe by becoming too needy, too controlling, or too focused on her rather than your own life, that's when attraction began to fade. So, rebuilding your masculine frame is about getting back to that centered version of yourself, the man she actually wanted in the first place. Rebuilding starts with mindset. You have to remind yourself that you are the prize. Not in an arrogant or egotistical way, but in the sense that you bring value just by being who you are. You are a man with ambition, with dreams, with standards. You don't let a woman's temporary moods or actions dictate your self-worth. When you carry yourself this way, she feels your strength. She senses that you won't collapse just because she's being distant, and that alone makes her want to lean back into you. Women crave stability and strength in a man's presence. If you become emotional, clingy, or desperate, you're showing instability, and that kills attraction. Another piece of rebuilding your masculine frame is self-control. This doesn't mean being cold or robotic. It means you don't overreact. You don't send 20 texts when she ignores you. You don't beg her to talk. You don't throw anger or guilt trips when she tests you. Instead, you keep your composure. You respond with calmness, patience, and sometimes even silence. That calm energy communicates, I'm solid. I don't need to chase or force this. I know my value and I won't be shaken. And that confidence is magnetic. But masculine frame is not just about how you handle her. It's also about how you handle yourself. You've got to pour your energy back into your purpose. Women are naturally drawn to men who are on a mission, who wake up with direction, who live with passion. If you've let your hobbies, fitness, or goals slip, now is the time to reclaim them. Hit the gym, upgrade your skills, chase that career move you've been putting off. When you prioritize your own growth, you automatically become more attractive because you're radiating the energy of a man who's going somewhere. She feels that, and it reignites the respect and desire she once had. Finally, remember that masculine frame is not about control over her. It's not manipulation. It's leadership through strength and authenticity. It's saying, this is who I am. I know what I bring to the table. I want you in my life, but I don't need you to define my life. That's the energy that flips the script. Instead of you chasing her, she begins chasing your energy again. Instead of you trying to win her back, she starts wondering how to win you back. And that shift only happens when you've rebuilt your masculine frame. So if you want her to want you again, don't start with her. Start with yourself. Ground yourself in confidence. Reclaim your sense of purpose. Stay calm under pressure. Lead with strength, not neediness. When you do this, she can feel the difference. She'll sense that the man she was once drawn to has returned, and often that's all it takes to spark attraction once more. When a relationship starts to slip or when a woman pulls away, a man's first instinct is often to convince her with words. He promises he'll change. He says things will be different. He begs for another chance. But here's the problem. Words mean nothing without action. Women don't want to hear empty promises. They want to feel a change. They want to see growth. And that's why showing growth, not neediness, is the key to making her want you again. Neediness is one of the fastest killers of attraction. It shows up when you're constantly seeking her validation, when you're desperate for her attention, or when you rely on her to feel good about yourself. Every time you blow up her phone, every time you beg for reassurance, every time you try to prove your worth by over-giving, you're screaming insecurity. And insecurity is not attractive. Women don't want to mother you, fix you, or carry your emotional weight. They want to look up to you. They want to feel inspired by the way you live and the man you're becoming. That doesn't happen through pleading. It happens through growth. So, what does showing growth actually look like? First, it's about your mindset. You need to adopt the belief that your life has value whether she's in it or not. You are complete as a man with or without her. That's not arrogance, it's confidence. It's understanding that your worth doesn't depend on someone else's approval. When you embody that, you stop chasing. You stop needing her to validate you. Instead, you show up as a man who knows who he is and where he's going. That alone shifts the energy. Growth also shows in how you carry yourself physically. Maybe you've let yourself go over time. You stop working out, you stop dressing sharp, you stop taking pride in your appearance. Nothing communicates stagnation more than a man who looks like he's given up on himself. But when you hit the gym, clean up your style, and walk with confidence, she notices. Even if she doesn't say anything, she feels it. She sees that you're not just talking about change, you're living it. But it's not just about looks, it's about your lifestyle. Growth means you're investing in your passions, chasing your goals, and leveling up your life. Maybe that means focusing on your career, starting a side project, traveling more, or learning new skills. When you put your energy into becoming a stronger, more capable, and more fulfilled version of yourself, she sees the difference. You're no longer sitting around waiting for her to decide your value. You're showing through action that your life has momentum. That momentum is magnetic. Women are drawn to men who are going somewhere, who are evolving, who are becoming. Another part of showing growth is emotional maturity. If in the past you were reactive, blowing up at her, getting jealous, being controlling, then your growth will show in how you handle those same situations now. Instead of lashing out, you respond calmly. Instead of chasing when she pulls back, you give space. Instead of demanding constant attention, you stay centered in your own purpose. When she tests you and you don't fold under pressure, that's when she feels the growth. She realizes you're not the same needy guy she pulled away from before. You've leveled up, and that makes her see you differently. Here's the key: growth is quiet, neediness is loud. Neediness tries to prove, to convince, to chase. Growth doesn't need to explain itself. It speaks through action, through consistency, through the way you show up every day. Think of it this way: if you keep telling her, I've changed, she'll doubt you. But if you stop talking and let your actions reveal the difference, she won't be able to deny it. That's the power of growth. And remember, growth is not something you do just to get her back. If that's your only motivation, it'll come off as fake. True growth is about becoming a better man for yourself first. Because whether she comes back or not, you win. You've elevated your life, your mindset, and your confidence. And ironically, it's that very attitude, the attitude that you'll be fine with or without her, that often makes her want you even more. Women are irresistibly drawn to men who don't need them, but who choose to share their already fulfilling lives with them. So, if you want her to want you again, stop trying to convince her with needy behavior. Don't chase, don't beg, don't prove. Instead, focus on your growth. Improve your body, sharpen your mind, strengthen your purpose. Upgrade your lifestyle. Show through your actions that you've evolved into a stronger, wiser, more confident man. Because when she sees that growth, when she feels the shift in your energy, she won't be able to ignore it. And that's when the attraction naturally comes back. Not because you demanded it, but because you became the kind of man she can't help but want again. When a woman loses interest or starts pulling away, the mistake most men make is to immediately try harder. They think if they call more, text more, or explain themselves better, she will come back. But that behavior usually has the opposite effect. What you might see as effort, she sees as neediness, and nothing pushes a woman away faster than a man who acts like he can't stand on his own without her. What makes her want you again is not begging, convincing, or overgiving. It's showing real growth as a man. Neediness is born from fear of losing or fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. And fear always repels attraction. A woman doesn't want to feel like your lifeline, like you can't function without her. She wants to feel drawn to your strength, your independence, and your direction in life. She wants to see that you're not only okay without her, but that you're becoming even better. That is what pulls her curiosity back in. Showing growth starts with the way you think about yourself. If you tell yourself that your value comes only from her attention, you'll always feel desperate. But when you build an identity rooted in your own worth, you stop chasing, you stop asking, what can I do to make her want me? And instead you focus on becoming the man you want to be. That shift in mindset is powerful. A man who values himself doesn't need to convince anyone of his worth. It shows naturally in how he lives. Growth also has to be visible. If in the past you let yourself slip physically, maybe you stopped training, stopped eating well, stopped caring about your appearance, that sends the signal that you don't care about yourself. When you start working out again, dressing better, and taking care of your body, you're not only improving how you look, you're communicating discipline and self-respect. She notices that even if you don't say a word, attraction is deeply tied to energy. And when your energy shifts because you're investing in yourself, she feels it. But physical changes are only part of the story. True growth shows up in your lifestyle and actions. Instead of sitting around waiting for texts you're busy creating, you're working on your career, exploring your hobbies, expanding your skills, and building a life that excites you. When she sees that your life has momentum, she starts to remember why she was drawn to you in the first place. Women are naturally attracted to men who are going somewhere, who have purpose, who keep evolving. If you're standing still, she loses interest. But if you're growing, she feels that energy and it reignites her curiosity. Another part of growth is emotional maturity. If in the past you were reactive, quick to anger, jealous, controlling, or needy, your growth will show in how you handle challenges now. When she pulls back, instead of panicking, you stay calm. When she tests you, instead of arguing, you smile and let it roll off your shoulders. When she's moody, instead of trying to fix her feelings, you stay centered. That calm confidence is what makes her feel safe with you again, tells her you've learned, you've grown, and you're no longer the insecure version of yourself she lost attraction to. The key difference between growth and neediness is this: neediness is loud, growth is quiet. Neediness is all about proving, explaining, and demanding recognition. Growth doesn't need to be announced. It speaks through your actions, your energy, and your consistency. If you keep telling her, "I've changed, I promise I'm different," she won't believe you. But if you simply live in a way that reflects your growth, she'll see with her own eyes. And when she feels that change without you saying a word, that's when her attraction naturally returns. It's important to understand that growth is not a game or a trick to get her back. If your only reason for improving is to win her over, it will come across as fake. Real growth is for you first. It's about becoming stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled regardless of what she chooses. And that's the irony. When you truly commit to growth for yourself, you stop needing her approval, and that lack of neediness is exactly what draws her back in. So instead of begging for her attention or trying to prove your worth through words, show it through your evolution. Upgrade your habits, sharpen your mind, strengthen your body, and build a life you're proud of. Become the kind of man who inspires respect and admiration without asking for it. Because when she sees the man you've become, when she feels that quiet confidence radiating from you, she won't just remember the man she once wanted. She'll see a new version of you that's even more attractive than before. And that's when she'll want you again, not because you chased her, but because you became the man she can't help but desire